You know that Tom Brady, the greatest football player of all time and a University of Michigan quarterback, go blue. And this is why this pains me, folks. This is a little close to home, Alex. Alex pushing me today. Alex, a producer, pushing me. To the glee of Amanda, the associate producer and Indianapolis Colts fan, and Nathan, the video director, who is a diehard Vikings fan. They're getting a little too much glee out of this segment, but I must proceed. Can you tell I'm delaying this? I feel like I'm delaying the difficulty here, folks. I got to step into this. So in case you haven't noticed or you didn't hear, Tom Brady and his supermodel wife, Giselle, recently absolved their marriage, their divorce, I think after 13 years. And this is very important that I cover this. It's very close to home to something I say all the time on the show. In fact, I just said it to start the segment. This idea that we could separate our work lives and our personal lives is a bunch of garbage, and it's going to end up hurting you tremendously. So we've got a clip here that we're going to play. You'll be able to hear the audio if you're listening to the podcast or the radio show. And video, is it a video clip as well? And this, oh, I'm sorry, it's just audio. Okay, so this is Tom Brady talking about his divorce, and this is on his Let's Go podcast on Sirius XM, and I want you to hear what he says about the divorce, and I'm going to come back and break this down and then encourage those of you who may have this kind of mindset. Let's play the audio.
Yeah, Jim, I think there's a lot of professionals in life that go through things that they deal with at work and they deal with at home, and obviously the good news is it's a very amicable situation, and I'm really focused on two things: taking care of my family and certainly my children. Secondly, doing the best job I can to win football games. So that's what professionals do. You focus at work when it's time to work, and then when you come home, you focus on the priorities that are at home. All you can do is the best you could do. That's what I'll just continue to do. Is
enough of that.
As long as I'm working and as long as I'm being a dad.
All right. So here's where I take issue with Tom Brady, who I love as a quarterback, and I think he's a model of excellence and so many great things. But here's the message, and this is very cultural. I think Tom's just saying what he's heard, what he's seen, what he believes. I don't think he's trying to spread any kind of negative garbage here. I just think he is a product of our culture. And here's the message: why don't you focus at work when it's time to work? And when you come home, you focus on the priorities at home. And that sounds like, excuse me, sounds like, hey, Ken, what issue do you take with that? Well, because what that does is this idea that, well, when I have my work life and I have my personal life. And I got to tell you, how'd that work out for you, Tom? The answer is not so good. Here's why. Okay? He and his supermodel wife, very busy schedules and very busy, accomplished people before they met. Then they come together and they decide to have children. She's got a busy world. He's got a busy world. And it gets to the point where she says, she's been very open about this in interviews, saying it was time for him to retire and choose our family. And Tom retired for all of about 30 days, I believe it was, and then he came back. The reality is, Tom, and those of you who feel like, wait a second, I got my work life and I got my personal life. No, when your personal life becomes a dumpster fire, or when your personal life begins to get tense and stretched, you ignoring that and say, well, I'll just deal with that when I'm at home and I'm going to compartmentalize and I'm going to go work and be a professional. Of course, you got to go do your job. But the fact of the matter is that that's affecting your work life, your performance. And then when your work life becomes more dominant than your family life, that affects your relationships. And I'm here to tell you, being a quarterback, the greatest quarterback of all time, and having Super Bowl wins and all the records, to me, is not worth losing my marriage. Now, that's just my point of view. Now, if you don't think that marriage is that important, it's like, well, we're going to try it. We do our best. It didn't work. We're going to quit. I don't think that's the option. But let's just say that it is the option. I believe where Tom is wrong and millions of Americans are wrong is that we think that we live these separate lives as opposed to going, no, they're intertwined. And if your job and your career is hurting your marriage, guess what has to be sacrificed? Your career. I just believe that. He could have stayed retired. I get that he wants to compete and still do it, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't give up my relationship. Well, Ken, they've had issues for years. Well, again, what was most important? And again, I'm not trying to criticize Tom. I'm just saying I take issue with him just going, well, it's all we can do is the best we can do. No, you didn't do your best. Tom Brady, the competitive freak that he is, and I love him as a former Michigan quarterback. I love the guy as a competitor. But Tom Brady, the competitor, did not compete for his wife the way he competed for the Patriots and the Bucks. I know, but I'm just telling you. He didn't. He can't look me in the eye and say, Ken, I gave it everything I had in my marriage like I do my football career. I don't buy that. I don't buy it. And so we're in a society where we'll go, well, we're just going to let the marriage dissolve and we're going to be amicable and split our assets and we're going to love the kids. And what we don't understand is how it destroys the kids. It destroys the kids. I don't care if you're Tom Brady and Giselle's kids or you're Ken and Stacey Coleman's kids. It destroys the kids. It is destruction. And this idea that you can separate, here's the bigger question. Are you allowing yourself to treat your work life and your personal life as completely two separate things? Because I'm telling you, that's a recipe for disaster. You are a human being, and thus you are relational and professional. You have relational purpose and you have professional purpose. And when one is suffering, it's affecting the other. When you choose one, you choose to maybe be better in one area and not in the other, it's a disaster. And I'm going to tell you something. I have had those days. I'm going to be real with you. There are days where I have left this office where I felt like I was crushing it professionally, and I stepped into parenting situations where I felt like I was a complete and utter failure personally. You want to talk about confusion and being torn. Talk about pulling one side of my heart one way and the other side of my heart the other way and going, why? What is going on? I don't understand this. How can I be so helpful here and such a disaster here? It's what I felt like. Is a lie from the pit of hell, but it's what I felt like. Let me just tell you something right now. If my job at Ramsey Solutions got to the point where I had to choose between that and holding my family together, it is not a choice. Now, that's not going to happen. But I believe Tom Brady is taking the easy way out. Well, you got to focus on work. And when I did that, I was all focused. So I didn't talk to my wife during the football season. That's what he's saying. Hey, if I got to be there at 5 a.m. and come home at midnight and I don't see my wife or kids for 16 weeks out of the year, that's just me focusing on work. BS. That is you choosing to compartmentalize. I'm not buying it. And if you think I'm old school and I'm a dinosaur and I'm old family values, I don't care. It's my show. You're listening, you're watching. You can turn me off. But I believe to win at work, you must also win at home. And to win at home, you must also win at work. You cannot separate the two.